So, good night to you, dear subscribers and casual viewers. So, we will continue to speak about the world, and not only this one. I've managed to advance a little bit in the art. This is acrylic. It should be, of course, redone with oil to last longer. So you see here, the snake and the eggs or the neros. The snake in like in bright, and the neros like in dark. And you see, of course, a man and a woman. And mostly, what's evident is, of course, the emphasis on the tongues and the genitalia that are in the black form. Now, this will, of course, we'll do another like thing of that, like in bigger on a bigger canvas. We might paint more canvases with blue. We don't need much more than we have already had, like mostly regarding the reds, and the reds are fine, I would say, for now. Mostly what the reds needs is water and oxygen. So water they do have, actually. So the electrolysis will probably help them. But we will take care of that. This is not really urgent. As the people of this world know, it's the blue one is the more important, is much more, the important, important one. Of course, the blue one is Earth, and the red one is Mars, and the silver or white is Venus. And this is kind of like a test, mandated probably by the people of Saturn, but I cannot be sure. Maybe one of its moons. I actually don't know. It doesn't really matter. The important thing is that it's not a new thing. It's a recurring event, and that every time it happens, it ends with the people of this world having the greatest advantage, because the judge is in their place. So presumably they have a great advantage in this test. To convince him how great they are, so they will give them huge gifts and maybe I don't know, block competition from the rest of the competing races. But every time it happens, it always ends up with the judge not being able to actually do his job, because he is there is only one thing that can stop the test, and this is series of, I don't know how many, maybe 2 or 3 of assassinations of the life of the judge. And it's not that before the assassinations they were so nice to me. They that they humiliate me and torture me all my life, but even they cannot even keep this only rule of not assassinating the judge. And it's like that every time, and every time it happens, the militaries are wiped, considerably so. As I said, it happened during the 1980s, but even before that, it has happened quite, a few times. And every time it happens, and they cannot even, and they get another shot, and every time it's not that only they cannot treat the judge nicely. They cannot stop themselves from assassinating him. And of course, it happens, again and again, and now we reach to a point that, I don't even know if whatever I do is even meaning anything. But of course, just in case it does, I don't think they do it, because they again, they assassinate. They tried, again and again and again. And this is the people of the earth, of course. It's not the Israelis. It's the people of the earth. Israel is Jurassic Park, as I've said many times. But it's not that the rest of the people in this world don't know about me. They do know about me, and they do know about the general circumstances, and they are on board with treating me as cool as possible, because these are humans. And it was extremely easy. Nothing in this test, the exercise states that they must lie to me all my life. Not at all. And it was enough that one nation would have chosen to tell me the truth, or at least to give me hints toward the truth. And they could have done it any time, in the last 20 years, at least. But they didn't. Because if they would have done, I would have been discovered the truth much sooner. But they keep lying until this time. Even now, they still, continue with, the lies. because I've said it. I mean, it's not like the Titans that go there, but Homo sapienses, like people that ate the drug, the hybrids. So they keep pushing the lie that it's presumably these are men, like the homosexual pedophiles of the intelligence services. I mean, so I mean, because I mean this was always this was always the method of all of them, like all the intelligence services of the world. That I mean, to discover, I mean, what I know, and to heal me along what I think that I already know, because that's the best way to actually, I mean, mislead the person. And it was always like it. They never told me anything new, like for in the many years that they are communicating with me. And this is, I'm up until this moment, the lying and deceitful way of humans continues. Of course, these are not men. Only women can pass the gate. This is certain. I mean, is there something more certain than that? I don't know if I mentioned that, because I mean it's so obvious, but I didn't mention it in the last couple of videos. And I mean, because of the people of humans are trash cans. I mean, they thought, oh, we thought this is men, like, so let's, I mean, say that these are actually men. Of course, these are not men. Of course. This is already stated in Genesis. לחסום את האדם, לא את האישה. הכרובים חוסמים את האדם, לא את חווה. Already in Genesis. Of course only women can pass the gates. Of course so. And this is not something new. It was like that from the start of this saga. The Black Knights were females. Men cannot pass the gate. This is one of the reasons why you see so much emphasis during the last decades on female combat units, even though it has no justification on like physical, on nothing at all. And I mean, it doesn't make any sense. And in the Israeli case is the most ridiculous of all. The Caracals, the Caracals, it's laughable. Everybody knows that they are laughable at combat. And that they suffer tremendous amount of like shivrei ma'amat, it's called it, like injuries throughout, like the training process, and they keep it like all their life. And it's like it gives nothing apparently to the military strength of Israel, and it causes so many women, like young women, to hurt themselves indefinitely, and of course to carry injuries all their life. And of course it's also a financial burden on Israel, because they receive compensation all their life for no reason at all. This is apparently, of course there is a reason, but apparently why do you need all these like female warriors? They don't. They will. First of all, Israel has no real enemies. This is just a joke. It's a joke. It's known to be a joke. The whole like conflicts and wars that like you hear today, like the alarms, the funny alarms, and the missiles, presumably Kipat Barzel, my ass. Israel has no real enemies for a long time. They keep military. They keep their military, and and more than anything, their military. I would say aura, like military, behavior, like Spartan behavior, because of two reasons. First of all, this is part of this, the way to. This is part of their society. It's like this is Sparta. That's how they control their own people, and that's how they educate their own people. And there is another reason, but let's wait a second with that. The whole female combat like units is on face value ridiculous in the Israeli context. It's absolutely ridiculous, and it is known to be ridiculous. It apparently gives Israel no advantage in any kind of military conflict, and they don't even have military conflict. They only manufacture theater, apparently. And this is true to other nations as well, mostly the United States that are, but they have many people, so you can say, it doesn't really, if there are like few, very, athletic, whatever, young females that want to be like combat warriors, G.I. Jane, whatever. It doesn't really affect society, but here in Israel, it affects society, and it's like another tremendous security burden on society that's already, paying so much, to the security sector without real reasons beyond presumably, mythology of like the Israeli warriors. should be so. It should be said Israel was never that. I mean, that they were never. They never had real power. Like listen to the. Many times they push me. I don't know. Maybe it's like a trigger or a hypnosis trigger. The Givat HaTachmoshet song. One of the most celebrated and known songs in the history of Israel, and certainly one of the most like war-related songs. Givat HaTachmoshet. I mean, listen to this song. It relates to a battle from the 67 war, the last military conflict in which Israel was triumphus. Like after that, it was only, partial defeats or partial successes, and many, like small fights with gangster of with used gangs in in Ramallah or Gaza Strip. Like that's what presumably going on right now, if something is even going on. 67, the last war. I've already spoken about this war, like that it was actually much less of a success than it was portrayed. But this is like the glorious victory. Listen to the word of the song. It's like it depicts, one of the most heroic moments of the war. But listen to the words. Listen to what's going on. It's like a battle that took it lasted for like 4 hours, with the number of troops according to the song itself was something like every day in the Second World War, every single day, there were, battles that, included, 1,000 times more, at least 1,000 times more soldiers, if not million times more soldiers. Million times more soldiers. I shit you not. Listen to the words of the song. Like 5 people against 7 Arabs in a hill that meant nothing, somewhere like in whatever. This is גבעת התחמושת. 2 ו-30. What the fuck? 4 hours of a non-important combat with like 6 soldiers, against another 7. This is a Wild West scenario. It's not like the most heroic battle in the military history of Israel with the most famous song. This is a Wild West. That's what, a collision between like 2 gangs in the Wild West. Texas Red against what's the name? Like, the Lone Ranger with the iron on his leg. Texas Red, I don't remember the words, but this is like that. The most heroic song. This is one big shit. But they do need the female warriors. And also the Americans need it for other purposes, other than, even though, again, in their purposes, it's a minor like issue within the whole military. So you could argue that it's for like, I don't know, equality purposes. It doesn't really take much of like burden from society. In Israel, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous and stupid and a sure way to injure tremendous amount of young women every year for presumably for no purpose at all. Of course, there is a purpose. Who do you think are the Terminators that, go through the gates? Who are they? These are females, and it was always have been females. לחסום את דרך האדם אל שער גן העדן. Adam cannot pass to heaven because Adam is a fucker and a disgusting piece of shit. Only Eve can pass, but Eve is not that better than Adam, and Eve will pay tremendously so. My previous judges also came to the same conclusion that, the way to hurt humanity is by, with their genitalia, in the broad sense. And you need to understand something. The cherubs, they walk, as I said, in continuous matter, which means that it's always gradual. It's not like in a day all the dicks are being chopped. Even though this can happen in like specific circumstances, if needed. But the way that humanity is punished is by gradually, yes, by the gradual process of playing in that aspect, because this was the major cause of, like, the major motive behind the subjugation of the Venusians at the beginning of the 20th century until, quite late. But then, there was also they also played with energy, like with the issue of energy, because they were, they abused the Venusians to create energy. And actually, I don't know what I can add to it, because, if if I am to be the judge, and not if I am, and I do judge humanity, of course they lose, like in this kind of a competition against the Venusians and against the newly awakened Martian. I don't know when the Martian was starting to be awakened. Maybe it was when the Viking landed there, but maybe it's even like before that, when the atomic weapons, like after Hiroshima. I don't know what triggered like their waking up process, but they already are awakened. The crucible of the awakening is already working. Of course, it's a gradual process. You don't like start a civilization like in Total Recall that you press a lever, and the whole planet is terraforming. So it takes them time to wake up. But they have weapons, so the people of the Earth cannot do whatever they want over there, even though they know very well that they exist. But in Venus, that's a different story. That's the place to abuse for a long, long time. But only females can do it. Only females can do it. You think I'm stupid? Bill and Ted or whatever, Red and Stimpy. No. Mortal and Portal are the real Bill and Ted or whatever. The Great Adventure of Bill and Ted. No, the Great Adventure of Mortal and Portal. Godzilla. Bachorilla Godzilla. It would have been funny if it wasn't that they are participating, systematic genocide and rape. Because females are not better than males. Homo sapiens are all pieces of shit, and they will pay tremendously slow. Tremendously slow? I don't know if that's slow. Should be said. And I've said it many times. One of the conundrum that I didn't really understand, and it took me a lot of time to understand regarding this history, is the fact that from the get-go in Israel, or even before the state of Israel is established, the people that actually coordinated the Israeli intelligence and security sector, they were homosexual and pedophiles. And this is because of the fact that they were kicked from Europe to begin with. And after some time, it became like a fashion all around the world, that the intelligence services are populated with these homosexual and pedophiles. And to this day, I don't know exactly when it happened and why exactly. Even though just from the beginning, I suspected. I tried to find reason for maybe in any way positive, to say maybe they are so powerful, and it was known 100 years ago that they have tremendous amount of power in society. So maybe and there were so many stories maybe it's all fake. Regarding Libranti Beria, the head of the KGB, that was almost number 2 to Stalin. So there were so many stories of the sexual that it was presumably unbelievable sexual predators, again young women. Maybe it's all fake. Maybe it was also an homosexual and pedophile. I don't know. But just of course such thing could have been happened. So you tell yourself, I don't know, maybe they take the pedophiles of society and they put them in the kind of the intelligence services, and they get medicine for their issues. Maybe it's kind of less predators against women than what could have been. But of course, reality is it spits on your face, because it was a bad idea, and because first of all they are predators against men, and men are also should be protected from these scumbags, and they are not. And also, and this is the worst problem, the worst ones, like these of Israel, they actually use their power to elicit homosexuality and pedophilia within the ranks of the people that they thought of their enemies, like the Palestinians. This is unbelievable crime against humanity, and it's day to day in the Shabak. And yes, it can be done because sexual orientation, it can be changed by severe social conditioning, and this was known since long ago. This was known since long ago. It's not news. Of course, it was part of the Soviet method that I've described in this channel many times, but it's not that the Anglo-Saxons didn't know about it. They also, the Americans, the British, they also knew about it. And they use that sparsely, but also it's not that they're not they have many skeletons of their own. But the largest number of skeletons is, of course, it belongs to the entire of humanity, and this is the skeletons in Venus. And with this issue, you are all together. No one ever. It's not that yeah, maybe, I mean, like if an agent of Shabak or Mossad would have, like, I mean, betrayed the country and tell me about my real circumstances, perhaps you could say that, I mean, you would have risked their life, perhaps. But this is Jurassic Park. The place is full of, like, representative of the intelligence services of all around the world, and I mean, this was always like that because it's an immigrant society, and now more than ever because it's like a land without a king. There is no sovereignty in this place. It's like, I mean, it's a shit, like a shitty shit. It's Jurassic Park after the collapse, with a representative from all around the world. What's the smell? Maybe another fanciful attack of various intelligence agencies. How the level is so high, the quality of the people. Anyway, any of these people could have, like, I mean, approached me in any time during the last 20 years, and like 2 minutes of conversation would have saved me like years of puzzle solving, like a mad rat, while all the people of this world are watching me. Banging my head against the walls. I mean, trying to figure out what's going on, because this is how you treat the representative. And as I was beginning to say, it was elusive for me is that it's not only that it seems that, I mean, the third generation of these people of the various, like, intelligence branches of Israel and security sectors, it seems that they had a tremendous, like, I mean, a higher and higher, like, I mean, occurrences of homosexuality and pedophilia. And it's not really clear why. I mean, yes, it is known that this phenomenon is many times repeating, like, I mean, every like, I mean, it's kind of like a cycle of abuse, because it is known that, I mean, one of the determining factor of, like, I mean, why people, I mean, men are becoming like that is that because they suffered from abuse when they were children, and so if their parents, their fathers are like that, many times, I mean, it's not necessarily even genetic. It's just because of behavior. But I mean, the whole idea of, like, I mean, of getting these people as part of the intelligence sector is that they are under control and they are getting medicine, and, I mean, they cannot do whatever they want, and there is, like, strict control over them. That's the whole idea. I mean, that they will not be predators of society. This is, like, I mean, the major, like, I mean, this was a major kind of, like, I mean, the rationale, I mean, behind, like, I mean, like, creating such, like, again, in Israel it's different because these were the people that were kicked from Europe. It was the Wild West, but still, I mean, like, as early as the Ottoman times. But in other places, I mean, the idea was that, okay, I mean, these people would be under the control of strict control of, like, I mean, of the intelligence services themselves, that above all are controlling their own people, because this is the people that they need to watch the base are their own people, and that's what they do. And they will get medicine, and everything will be, presumably it will be like a medical issue, not like a moral issue or, a legal issue, but a medical issue. That's a disease that, I mean, or condition that is controlled by the government, by the state, and everything is fine. So how come they have the power to molest their own children? And what I think is that they actually did not molest their own children, not in a widespread way. That actually this specific aspect of the plan was presumably working. My assumption is that actually, yes, these people, like the homosexuals and pedophiles that were and still are, but I mean, in the past, specifically we speak about the past, but the first and second generation of this kind of, like, I mean, arrangement, they actually did not they did not molest their children. Yes, that they were under the control of the medicines and and the eye of the state, and they actually did not do it. Maybe I surprised you to say that, but this is my conclusion. But yet their children grew up, certainly in Israel and also in other places. And the males were, like, the boys became homosexuals and pedophiles in much higher frequency than the generations before that. And this, I understood it very quickly, and this is a conundrum, and it's something, one of the open questions in this channel. And as I said, there are several answers. One is a culture of, this is true in Israel, that it's like a culture of homosexuality and pedophilia. And this thing cannot be under control, because, the male can, I mean, yes, like the fathers can get medicine for their issues, and yeah, and like they did not strictly molest their children, like not in like widespread way, but they cannot like stop their psychology, and they were the people that were most dominant, like in like whole stratus of, like, of society that control the culture. So they manifested like a culture, and this was true in Israel way before. I mean, Israel was, I mean, formally a European state, like starting in the 1990s. That is like one of the main points, like in the like international relationship of Israel. The Eurovision country that, I mean, the masters of the Eurovision 4 times, like winning first place, and like, I mean, all that shit. In Tel Aviv, like, pride, the capital of whatever, the world, the Middle East, the solar system, I don't know what. But way before that, there were tremendous like undertones of both homosexuality and pedophilia in pop cultures in Israel, and this cannot be stopped. And these children grew up in these conditions. And maybe they were not molested like more than average, probably somewhat more than average, but not tremendously so. This is my assumption. After, this is what, I mean, my conclusion, like after thinking about it a lot. And just to be, to be as I've described, like in the Ziggurat of Ur saga, my family contained quite a bit of those. It's not that, I mean, like I also, I mean, I grew up just in these kind of like stratas of society, security sector, intelligence sector, the founders of the country. I described it in the Ziggurat of Ur. So I know the people, and like, I mean, it's totally true to my own like family, like several generations, not even one. But yes, they couldn't stop themselves, like, I mean, their psychology, and they influenced to create a culture that, I mean, the first time that I've heard this kind of, like, I mean, the term, it's repulsive, but it should be said. I mean, is here, like in YouTube, like, I mean, was as a comment to one of the videos that, I mean, that I described this issue, and people, I mean, spoke about grooming. This is so repulsive, but I mean, it actually what happened in Israel, grooming. In essence, it's unbelievably cruel, systematic, statewide sexual molestation of boys, but I mean, not in like in physical way, not in a way that it kind of like, I mean, you can prove, and maybe they didn't even understand that they do it. But it's a whole like culture that influences boys to be homosexuals and pedophiles. Sometimes in the subconscious, that, I mean, subconsciously, like in all sides. But that's what actually happened. And also, should be said that there is the punishment of the cherubs, because you were punished just in that. And the people that were punished the most are the people that ate the robots, and these are exactly the people that ate the Neros, the red Neros. It's exactly the same people. So, I mean, you can look at it. I mean, you can treat it like, I mean, again, like many times, you can see it like see it. I mean, interpret it as like the hand of God, or an organic development of punishment that is derived from the sin itself. And I mean, and it's like that many times in history. It's like a natural perception of God, even though I do not think, I mean, I mean, support the the monotheist, like, tradition that God is not nature. I mean, God is separated from nature, but I mean, in that aspect, I mean, in the organic, I mean, perception of punishment and sin is kind of like, I mean, something that, I mean, in some way equate God with nature. I mean, at least in that aspect. The nature of the world itself, I mean, dictates that the punishment will be stemming from the sin. Because yes, these are, I mean, the most people that, I mean, they subjected other societies to the worst extent. And of course, always the subjugation always, I mean, was, I mean, the most severe, I mean, regarding the sexuality of the foreigners, and it's still like that. I mean, they're still trying to, I mean, the things that they do to me are so horrible, but as always, I mean, the sexual part is the worst. What they try to do to me is unbelievably cruel. And sexual in the broad sense, although, I mean, with regards to children, like they take your children from you, this is nothing new. This is like, I mean, this is the main like attitude towards the foreigner since the beginning of the 20th century. And that's why you were punished with in exactly that. And it's not, in giving that context, it's not that surprise that so many people, like of the second and third generations of this abuse, grew to be homosexuals and pedophiles, even though probably they were not molested to, I mean, probably they were not like actually, in the strict sense, I mean, according to my perception, they were, I mean, immensely molested by the culture, but not like, I mean, in like the way that, I mean, you like, in the legal way that of, that actually, like the fathers actually, touch them or whatever. But I mean, they grew up in a society that encouraged it to a tremendous extent. Sometimes in explicit ways, and sometimes explicitly for the purpose of like the evolutionary exploitation, because these were always related issues. Because who needed like the females like the most, like the female slave from Venus the most? Of course, homosexuals and pedophiles, because they wanted like to have heterosexual like heteronormative families, and this was often a requirement to be part of this like sector. Maybe not a formal requirement, but nothing is formal in this with these people. But it was known, and it's probably still true even today, with all the openness towards the gays. That I mean, people that want to like, be serious, like and aspire to have any kind of like position in these systems, they cannot like, I mean, who's like Central Park or whatever, or I don't know the equivalent in Israel, like Gan Atzmaut or whatever. They need to have like a wife and a dog, and and still like that. Of course, if they want like to be politicians, much more, I'd say, or only more so. But even just to have any kind of like position, they need it like that. So I mean, the evolutionary exploitation is more than ever relevant. So you were punished with exactly that, but not only that. Also, of course, with the testosterone level, like the real T, that is dropping like sharply throughout in the last 100 years all around the world, especially in the developed world. Like it's not uncommon today that the grandfather, the father, and a child, like a man and his father and grandfather, like a young man, like a man that's of the age of 20, and his father, like maybe he's 50, and grandfather, if like he is 80. Presumably they are all alive, and why shouldn't they be? Like in the Western world, and including in Israel, it's not uncommon that they will all have the same testosterone level. At that point, like currently. Like you will test them now and they will have the same testosterone level. This is very common. Extremely common. It's a known fact. Just to say that testosterone, I mean, is something that is known since, I mean, it was discovered to drop with age. To drop with age. This was, I mean, this is like a basic fact of life. And today, I mean, the average, like in the same family, is like, I mean, it's very close between grandfather, father, and like a young man. In absolute term, like right now, at the moment when we take the test, which means abysmal degradation in testosterone levels in the earth, unbelievably so. Of course, how the medical like establishment, I mean, reacts with lowering, keep lowering, the norm level, the norm levels, lowering and low. So I mean, the norm is always getting lower. And if you think that this is like a, so what? I mean, so people will be less aggressive. This is stupid, and this is ridiculous. It's just, I mean, public perception that is absolutely stupid. This is the male hormone is incredibly important for the health of males and for fertility. And this degradation is a worldwide epidemic that people just, I mean, many people just, I mean, deny, because whatever, it's best to deny and just to lower the standards. It's nothing to do with aggressiveness, and it's stupid. It's not that, I mean, people that are, it's plain lie. I mean, it's unbelievably stupid lie that, I mean, presumably those with higher testosterone are more violent, so it's okay that the people will have less. This is ridiculous. It's like it's a substance in the human like body. It's like saying that, I mean, it's okay if you have like less. I don't know. I mean, I don't know, like any material that you have in your body, like you say that it's okay if you have like less and less red blood cells. So this is stupid. I mean, you need it. It's true for testosterone. The fact that it's getting so low is, I mean, an indicator for the deterioration of health in men that is worldwide. And let's speak about fertility. This is known in Israel. It is known that, I mean, fertility rates are sharply declining in tremendous way. And it's a well-documented phenomenon. Like in fertility treatments are, I mean, today are so much more like, I mean, common than in the past. And not only because, I mean, the rise in the age of marriage, not only, and it's not only that. It's that even like when this like variable is under control, I mean, taken into account, still there is like a huge increase in fertility treatment that are the cause of the males, like the father, I mean, the husband or the presumed father is the problem in tremendous like rates more than before. So yes, the people in Earth are punished with their genitalia and their fertility because what they've done. And I assure you that my judgment is that the cherubs should keep doing it in tremendously more tremendously more effective way. Like I completely agree with like the judgment of my predecessors, and I think that it should be done even like more like in a strict way. But I will add another thing that I don't know if they mentioned, which is the tongue, which you can also see in this painting, and you will see it like in the bigger canvases. Because I do everything you must do twice, so it will be done in the bigger canvas as well. So it will be more just, I mean, easier to identify the issue with the tongue. Like according to my experience and my time in Earth, people of this earth should pay not only with their genitalia and their fertility, but also with their tongue. The tongue is something that I cannot stand the tongue of humans. It's disgusting. Really, I mean, I dare to say that God was like, I mean, he had a mistake when giving like humans a tongue. This is disgusting. It's like a worldwide inflammatory like disease that spreading and cannot like be controlled at all, and it's like chronic inflammation of the tongue. I cannot listen to these people. How much can you move your whatever disgusting thing that you have inside your mouth? It's so disgusting. Stop moving it. Stop this. I mean, why do you move it all the time? Let it rest. Unbelievably, I mean, it cannot like sit still for a second. They must move it. The noise is unbearable in this planet. Unbearable. And I'm not the first messenger to say so. Also, I mean, you know, reference in Genesis 6. Even as I said in the past, it's not translated like well to both like in King James and the new like international translation. They didn't understand like the verse like with regard to the noise. It's quite, but yes, I mean, the noise was so horrible that, I mean, you know, God couldn't stand the noise. So it's not a new issue. Humans they have disgusting tongue, and this must be stopped. It must be, I mean, either removed completely, or I don't know, find a way to reduce the effectiveness of the tongues of humans, so the noise will not be that horrible. How much can you speak? How much can you explain your evil ways? Stop speaking. Stop. This is disgusting. You are disgusting. So this is my judgment. The same as the previous people that they're in the same position. That the people, the humans, I mean, must be punished in their genitalia and their fertility, because this is how this is what they do to the foreigners, to the Venusians, and this is what they do to me, the judge. Even though they had tremendous position, I mean, for me to like them, but they couldn't even stop themselves from trying to kill me. Not to say anything about all the other tortures. And also, in addition to this, the fertility and genitalia, the tongue, I mean, it's so disgusting. It must be stopped. Regarding the gates, as I said, what's going on right now is kind of like a war. Now, in essence, it was already like that 100 years ago, because what the people of the have done that 100 years ago was already a war. But now it's more like a war that is actually, supported by not by just or sort of like a paramilitary organization or semi-military organization, but it's a war that female warriors are trained just for the purpose of to be able to participate in these operations. And as I said, at least in Israel, society pays a tremendous price for this. So it's not that it's without a price. And this cannot be explained in any way besides that. And I thought about it long ago. I had the notion the old Caracal and the other fetishism of female warriors that started doing in the 1990s, but I mean, only getting more increasingly popular, and doesn't make any sense. And long ago, I saw that it is related to Venusian exploitation. It's not a new thing even though I didn't speak about it, I think this not recently. But yes, I mean, it doesn't make sense. My brother Uri served in the military it was I would say a clerical position, but I mean more I would say in planning position, in אגף תכנון, which means the planning of HR planning for the armed for the land forces. And specifically he was he was in the planning group that their job was, to plan everything to plan the HR requirements and how to meet the requirements with regards to female combat soldiers. So yes, so I remember I spoke during the time. Of course, I spoke with him about all these issues, and yes, of course, not about evolution exploitation. I don't know if he knows about it at all, but yes, there is a major kind of planning, effort in the IDF, and this is supported by politicians and the society at large. Of course, after brainwashing, that there will be more and more female warriors, and this doesn't make any sense at all, and it's known to hurt them, and financial burden doesn't make any sense. But it does make sense if you have the extra detail that these pumas, these caracals, these disgusting cats with the satanic ears, they need them for, because yes, they mean nothing in real combat. In the real infantry combat, they mean nothing. But Israel doesn't need them for that, because they don't have any kind of infantry combat or any combat at all besides manufactured collisions with Arab gangsters, 16-year-old gangsters in Ramallah and Gaza Strip. They don't even need it for that. But yes, if you compare a young female, average young female, when she needs to combat, to fight Paleolithic woman. So yes, if she had a military training and she served 3 years as a fighter, yes, this gives her a huge edge. Yes. Not again any kind of real military infantry from Earth, but against other female, like, I mean, female Paleolithic women, yes, this gives her like the advantage, tremendous advantage. And that's why they do it. And they are going to pay tremendously so. In their genitalia and in their secondary sex organs, they will pay tremendously. Even more than the males. The females will now pay even more than the males. But all will pay and continue to pay in a gradual way. We will never forgive humans for what they've done and what they continue to do. You will be smaller and smaller and smaller, and you will never get out of this earth. Never. Be sure, we will never forgive you. Never.